joined by Duke Cooper, President and CEO of American Veterans First. Welcome, Cooper.
Thank you so much.
I should say Duke. You go by Duke, not
Yes,
Mr. Cooper. Okay. Welcome to the program.
Thank you.
It is a privilege for me to begin this conversation with thank you for your service.
Thank you so much.
As a veteran, as an active member of our community here, you do so much, Duke. But let's first introduce you to our viewers about your background, about your service to this country, and what motivates you to be so active and to give back, Duke.
Well, my background comes from the Midwest of the United States. My mom and dad were farmers. Moved to California, and I joined the Marine Corps in 1968 and spent 6 years with the Marine Corps. And I still take that, what I learned there, the discipline and respect for other people, to this day. That's important for me. I live in Oakdale, have a small ranch out in Oakdale. I retired in 2010 from construction. I spent 43 years in construction management. And 2 years ago, or 2.5 years ago, it made me realize, I just come to the realization that I needed to do something good for somebody besides just myself. My veteran brothers, they're in desperate need. So American Veterans First was born out of that. Had no idea what to do other than we had one table and 4 chairs. And since then we've really grown. I'm proud of what we've done. But you know, we just recently got our 501c3 nonprofit status, which what it does is it opens up the door for us that we can help so many more people. It's just because there's folks out there that are really hurting, that need help. We concentrate primarily on American veterans and first responders, PTSD, our disabled veterans. We donate electric scooters. We've done 11 this year. We've helped place veterans, homeless veterans, in housing. Our coat and blanket drive. Last year we gave probably 450 coats out. It just comes really important to me, and it's from the heart that when you go up to somebody and you know, and it's cold and they need a coat, that's a feel good. Or we have a veteran that comes in and his legs aren't working very well, and we send him away with a brand new scooter. And you see the smile on their face, it makes it all worthwhile, all the time put in.
It sure does, and thank you for doing that. Once a Marine, always a Marine.
Yes, ma'am. Semper Fi.
There you go. Duke, I've had the privilege of working with you recently on different projects, on working with Congressman Jeff Denham, who's a veteran himself, for our 10th district. Tell me a little bit about what motivates you other than helping your fellow veterans. But what is it that keeps you going, whether it's giving back to the community? We were just talking with our mutual friend Surjit, and how as a diverse community, as a newcomer, 25 years is not very long.
No.
He's been here only 25 years, but he so loves this country. He so loves the opportunities that have been given to him, and he has been very successful in his business. But that compassion that he has, that he must give back to the community. We talked about some of the amazing things he's done with his own personal resources, and also the kindness of the rest of the Sikh community. I want to ask you about, you know, the sacrifices that our veterans have made, the sacrifices of those who have given for our freedom that we enjoy every day. And as a veteran, as a Marine, I know it means deeply to you, especially when you've lost fellow veterans. You mentioned PTSD. You mentioned the disparities that continue for our veterans, whether they're coming back or whether it's long-term, and how important it is to each community find the resources to help each other, but also to stand up for what you believe in. What do you believe in that motivates you, that gets you up every morning to go out and do what you do, Duke?
Well, I think what gets me out of bed in the morning, first and foremost, I thank God for that. But when I get up, I realize that there's somebody out there, a veteran or a first responder that is in desperate need, that doesn't know where to turn. And today we lose on an average of 22 veterans a day to suicide. And you know, that's unacceptable. They can't get that help they need from the VA, because you know, suicide is a permanent solution to a temporary problem, and that needs to be addressed. On top of that, opioid addiction, we're losing about 160 a day to accidental overdose. So what we need to do is, I mean, we're stronger together as a group. And sitting down today and listening to Surjit, I'm a humbled man. And it breaks my heart, right, to know that he was attacked for whatever reason. His turban, his accent. You know, there's 7,503,000,000 people plus in this world. I defy anybody to show me two people that look alike or are the same. We're all diverse. So in this country, there's, whether it be the homeless, and we have a large congregation of homeless, but you know what, at the end of the day, if I have one person that comes up, and whether we give them an electric scooter, we give them a bottle of water at our building in Riverbank, we give them a coat during the winter, they throw their arms around you and tell you, thank you, you've been paid in full. That's a feel-good feeling, and that's from the heart. And you know, and you see these folks, and we deal a lot with the homeless, and when we go like to the Salvation Army in Modesto, and they can't go inside until 4:30, so they're lined up along the fence. I've never seen a more happy, congenial group of folks. They have nothing, and they complain about nothing. And it seems like the people that have the most, that don't want to help, right, are the ones that complain the most. And it's time that people, you know, and when I come in and I'm a better man for having met Surjit.
Yes, we all are.
I take away a great lesson today. We just further our friendship today. I value that. I will stand beside him anytime, any place. And I mean that as a United States citizen. I'm glad you're here. Our country's better because you're here. And as a Marine, I'll stand back to back with you, brother, anytime.
Beautifully said. Thank you so much for sharing that. That is the sentiment, obviously, that was presented by our community at the Turlock City Council. So ditto to everything you said. I absolutely agree with you. Talking about adversity and talking about different communities, and in this community, the Sikh community, the Assyrian community, the Latino community, we are stronger together. And one of those strengths is understanding each other, understanding each other's history. Now, you attended the Assyrian Genocide Awareness at Stanislaus State University, Duke. I was so proud that you were there. I would like to ask you about the education, what you learned, and when you left that night, how much did you walk away with, and what was your feeling, and how does it change how you feel and how you see the Assyrian community, which is a large, growing population here in this district, but also has a history of over 115 years in Turlock?
Well, attending that the Assyrian Genocide, and thank you for the invitation, because you and I'm really blessed to be able to work with you.
Same here.
I was excited about the grape leaves, because I love those grape leaves.
The dolmas.
But, you know, the one thing I noticed was how quiet and respectful it was that night, right? Because you see the images on the screen, and sometimes, you know, we shield ourselves from that. But, you know, when you see those images, I left there with a heavy heart, right? And thinking, what can I do to help? Now, I have, my wife is Russian Jew and Cherokee Indian, Native American Indian. Both her cultures have suffered genocide.
Yes.
And so that's very dear to me. And there's people out there that want to stick their head in the sand and say, well, genocide never happened. Never happened in India, or it never happened to the Assyrians. It's still happening today.
Yes.
Right?
That's true.
And we need to educate each other. We need to embrace each other, because if we do that, those people that, for lack of a better word, like the ones that attacked you, Surjit, that's ignorance at its best, and it cannot be tolerated in this country. I condemn that to the deepest part of my soul. That's just not acceptable. And if you're judging somebody just because of the way they look or talk, unacceptable. Now the Assyrian community, like the Sikhs, a very, very peaceful, loving community. I'm impressed by how tight they are as a unit. And I think some of the other cultures in this country could benefit by that same example. And if we come together, we can dispel the ignorance. But the Assyrian genocide, I tell you, I went home and I told my wife about that. And I set up for probably 3 hours after that, because, I mean, my heart was heavy. And those are ugly images.
Yes.
But you know, war is an ugly business.
Yes.
And your people, any of your people that have witnessed that firsthand, they're suffering PTSD. It's a post-traumatic stress disorder. Any kind of a traumatic experience like that is going to change you for the rest of your life. So with the veterans, I take away from the Assyrian genocide that, without going political, that's pretty much what war is. Right? We go to war and let's kill them all. I just don't think that, after 6 years in the Marine Corps, I'm not sure if that's the answer. I think diplomacy is better than aggression. I think if we just need to talk, right, instead of acting so crazy. I'm excited about working with the Assyrian community, and you. I've heard and witnessed, you're a pretty driven woman, and I respect that.
Yeah.
And Surjit, man, oh man, it lets me know how far I need to go to try to catch up, because this man's out there. He's putting it right out there for everybody to see. He stands on Highway 99 when most of the time I don't feel safe driving on Highway 99, right? And you know, and you look at our freeways, and they're a mess. There's trash and everything else, right? But who's out there? Somebody that came to this country 25 years ago. He's paying it forward. That's what we call that.
Yes.
So with veterans and the Sikh community and the Assyrians, all those people that suffered the genocide, that were killed and are still being murdered,
Yes.
makes me realize that in this world we suffer two deaths. Obviously the physical death. Everybody's going to go through that. That second death is the last day that your loved one's name is ever mentioned. Unacceptable. I know my mom and dad are gone. Ed and Edith, I will say their words to my dying breath, their names.
Wow, that's beautiful, Duke. Thank you for sharing those beautiful thoughts and words. Thank you for your support. And of course, thank you for your service. It's so important for us to learn from your experience, from how you feel. And I learn from you every day that we have a meeting. I learn new things from you that are so important, because your lens, your perspective is different than others. But when we come together, when we work together, when we have an alliance, our community benefits from that. It's called community capacity building. And as we build the alliance and the trust, we learn more about each other. We are comfortable with working with each other, whether it's the veterans, whether it's descendants and survivors of genocide, whether it's helping our veterans decipher through the system to seek the services that they need. Same as with newcomers. Thank you again for attending the Assyrian Genocide Remembrance. I'm glad you came, and I'm glad you learned. And I'm very proud to be working with you, Duke. I'm proud to call you a friend.
Likewise.
And in closing, do you have anything to say to our viewers?
Yes, I do. As American Veterans First, we can't endorse any political candidate. So what I'm going to do right now is I'm speaking to you as Duke Cooper, a United States Marine Corps veteran. It's been my distinct pleasure of working with Congressman Jeff Denham. I go to his office quite regularly for problems that the VA will not take care of for our veterans. And I can tell you, out of my experience with Jeff Denham, is when he gets involved in one of our veterans' problems, that things get handled and they get done. So it's important that you vote. If you don't vote, you really have no say-so.
Very important.
So it's, God bless. It's an honor for me to be here with Surjit and Carmen. I'm humbled by everything they do, and I'm on a learning experience. So I'm hanging on as tight as I can.
Thank you, Duke, and thank you again for taking time and for all you do and for your service. This concludes our conversation with Mr. Duke Cooper, American Veterans First. Thank you, and join us next time on the Modern Assyrian program.